You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast, exposing the struggles and celebrating the successes in the life of coaches who are action takers and creating authentic impact in today's world. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your reach, or exploding your impact, you're in the right place right now. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Now, here are your hosts of the Coach's Journey podcast.
It's interesting because I think you identified a gap in our industry of not, they're not being like done for you services. Yeah. And I don't know how that would look. And I think some people would argue you can't really do done for you services in coaching because it's got to be about you. I don't know. I think there's a middle ground. But what I mean by that is in my real estate business, my husband and I, we do a lot of off-market investing, and we pay a company thousands of dollars a month to market to property owners for us, and then we get the leads that way. So I think there's a gap in the coaching world on ways of being able to send the flyers out with the cars on them.
So there are services like that, except you have to go out there and seek them. They're not as common as it is in brick and mortar businesses. Like you can work with a marketing consultant or a copywriter, and you can build these things, and they can help you set up the whole thing, and you can send it out. But it takes a level of investment in there. Now, is it necessary to do that in the initial stages? Probably not, because you can do that without those things. But then it probably becomes, so for example, for me, I'm finding it's becoming more and more necessary because I want to scale it. So I want to go towards stuff like that. And we're doing it in our community as well, that we're going towards ads, we're getting them to set up. And it's not like a brick and mortar type of thing, but it's on the social media end. It's the same thing. We're hiring an organization, they're setting up our ads process, and at some point it's going to become a recurring thing that we run in the background. A lot of companies do it. Now, do you need that in the beginning? Not necessarily, but you need a structure like that. Whether that, and I actually made this differentiation to a client, is that like every business has its upturn and downturn. And like whether you talk about like the market is at a peak and then at a market goes down, you need to be able to do business at every stage of the market. So there are times where I don't have a lot of clients coming in. That's the time that my marketing efforts and sales efforts increase, because I don't have a lot of clients coming in and I'm not spending a lot of bandwidth with clients. I have some empty spots. Now I'm going into prospecting and sales mode and marketing mode. But then there are times like right now I'm overbooked. Like I have too many clients. So that's an opportunity for me to reinvest part of that. So I've gone 2 certifications and gone towards getting coaching on the sales and business end. So this is a time for me to build skill sets. This is a time for me to get better at so many other things, because once the market goes in this area, then I can start to build systems and other things. And this is I feel like it's very common in the business world, but then we are not aware of it because we don't look at it like a business.
Right. And so like when I launched my business 12 years ago, brick and mortar business, before I ever launched, I spent a good amount of time. I got coaching from the small business development centers, SBDC, I believe is the acronym. The Small Business Administration in the US, they have these centers specifically devoted to that. They've got people that work there that will give you free coaching on how to build out your business plan, how to think about all the different things. I spent months going over that, and I built out a written business plan and did all that stuff. And I will be the first to admit, I did not do that detailed of an analysis on the coaching business before I launched it. But that might be a missing link for a lot of people, because I think it's easy, and I certainly have found myself doing this, that I start coaching, start the coaching business, and then all of a sudden I feel like, oh my gosh, Joe Schmo over here he's doing X, Y, Z, and A, B, C, D in his coaching business. I am like behind the game. I'm only trying to do A. And, so we feel like we're already failing from the beginning. But if we had a written plan, we would probably have already recognized that we can't do 17 things out of the gate. You just focus on one And then when one hits a certain metric, then you add another, and that there's this progression that you have already kind of mapped out that makes sense logically based on finances and income and all that sort of stuff. And so I think just kind of continuing to go along the lines of, and honestly, that's accountability too. If you're meeting, and the Small Business Administration in the US here, all the services here are free. They're free. There's coaches that will help you for free. And so these are resources and additional ways of being accountable to other people who know what they're doing, who can coach you, and as well as to yourself, because now you've got a written plan that you can go back to and be accountable to that.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, even in my local region, like our city, Kitchener, it's about 200, 300,000 people. But then, the government has like a plan where you pay like $50 a month. They help you with your marketing stuff and all sorts of stuff. I almost actually joined that. But right up before that, I got another opportunity. But when I looked at their system, it was actually pretty good. Had I known about that 6 months ago, I would have probably joined. And they didn't just have marketing for like normal like for brick and mortar. They had it for social media and other things. And they had like business mentors that would help you think through your business. You just had to submit a bunch of documents around, hey, like this is my business, it's legitimate, I'm trying these kind of things. That's all. But it was like literally $50 a month. That's nothing for a process like that. But we don't like you said, we don't look for this stuff.
Yep.
What did you say?
I said that's less than Kajabi.
I know, that's much less than Kajabi. I would have benefited from that at some point. But see, I didn't have that mindset around like this stuff. I developed about 3 years ago when I started meeting other business owners. I'm like, oh shit, this is a business. I was running it. And there's a key problem in there. I want to share one last thing before we end this episode. So the idea of freedom is very, very attractive to human beings, but with freedom comes problems. We don't have structure. And this is a cliche example of somebody who doesn't feel aligned with a religion that has rigid structures. But as soon as, let's say, they leave that, that's a disaster waiting to happen. And when you go out there, there are too many choices. There are too many ways of looking at things. And one of the reasons we built, like human beings have religion, is it helps them make sense of the world in an easier way. And now think of it from a business standpoint. A bit of brick and mortar business has a structure around it. You know exactly what needs to happen for you to build it. Now you go towards a business like coaching that doesn't have defined boundaries, and we don't know what works, what doesn't work. There's so many choices, so many development paths. Now you watch the next person trying this thing. Oh, let me try that. Then you watch another person trying another. Like, I'm falling behind. What am I going to do? Freedom creates problems if you don't have a structure built into it. So like you said, Dr. Sherry, if you don't have a written out plan, if you don't have a strategy, you're going to keep jumping from one thing to another thing. And one of the reasons that has helped me is that I'm focused on my community. I need to grow it at a certain level before I do anything else. So all my efforts with collaboration, with sales, everything comes back to funneling people into my community that gives me the cash flow that I need to do other things.
Yeah, that's great. This whole conversation has made me realize I need to go back to redo my written plan in everything I'm doing. My wheels are spinning, and I'm thinking about things, real estate investing with my husband and his team, and I'm thinking about our coaching and all. So yeah, so I'm going to be accountable to you if I saw him. I'm gonna get a written plan out.
Woohoo! Yeah, and hopefully you guys who are watching it, your wheels are turning too, and my wheels are turning too. The more I talk about this, the more I realize how passionate I am about this, and that's actually one of the reasons why I signed up for a coaching certification. It's actually coaching/consultant. It's a very different mix that you can actually bring consulting into coaching, but for businesses. But how do you do that? And then it's through Mind Valley. Like so far, I've gone through a few of the things. I'm so glad I signed up. But I never thought like a few years ago I'd be passionate about business, but I am, because I realized that it can create possibilities that I didn't know that was possible. And I can do it with keeping my values.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing for me. I can create a model of a business that aligns with who I am. I don't have to create a cliche story of a business that doesn't feel aligned with me, and that's a big objection that coaches might have. But the more I've gone into this, the more I've realized is that this is a medium for possibilities, not only for you, for your community, for the people you're going to serve. The more we get better at this, the more we help people understand that you can build something that's beyond what you think is possible, especially in this day and age where we find teenagers making 6-figure a month income. That's possible in this day and age. And if you're struggling, there's something off on the business end, likely.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll end there. If you're struggling, there's likely something off on your business. And what better opportunity to have accountability, to have community, to get your own coach, than to become part of the Coaching Mastery community, because all of that is present in the community and in the membership. It's really quite a robust solution for coaches.
Yes. And we'd be excited for you to join us, because that's what we're trying to figure out. Well, what would it take for us to move coaches forward? And it doesn't exist anywhere. As far as I've seen, we have coaches from different modalities. Every coach, high performance coaches, conscious parenting coaches, relationship coaches, transformational coaches, they have the same problem. They struggle with getting feedback. They struggle with getting feedback on their coaching skill set, but also in terms of how they're moving their business forward. There is no structure. We help them build a structure within a safe, encouraging, and supportive community.
Yes. And we have just added to our repertoire, we have just added a success coach whose sole job is going to be touching base with the folks in our challenge, touching base with all of the members. And they are going to be basically, another way of thinking about accountability is somebody holds up a mirror to you. They're just reflecting back to you who you are, so you can see that, and then you can choose to make those adjustments and changes. And that's how I envision the success coach is going to be, is they're going to be like, okay, Sherry, what are you wanting out of this? What are your goals? What are you shooting for? I'm the one generating all that information. So then when I meet with him next, he just holds up the mirror of what I said. And then I get to be like, yep, I did not follow through on the things that I was going to follow through on in these areas. And so, how can I problem solve that? How can I make sure that, the things that I value, I'm actually valuing with my time? And, it's just a continual process of getting better and refining our activities.
Yeah, and then it goes back to that accountability pieces and one of the reasons why we're adding this, and us added this, is he realized how important that was to be accountable to somebody who can actually help you problem solve the challenges, not just tell you, well, you should have done it, but you didn't, but actually help you problem solve some of the problems and help you track your KPIs and look at it like a business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm excited about that too.
Too. All right, guys, I know that you found this hugely valuable, whether it was the things that we talked about got you to think about your own business in a different way. Maybe there's a new, thing or structure that you need to put into your business, a new accountability partner or person that you can, bring into your sphere to help you stay on course. Whatever it was, we would love to hear how you were impacted by this episode. You can send us messages to our website, the Coach's Journey podcast. You can make comments if you're watching this on YouTube, send them messages on Facebook, wherever you want to get a hold of us. We would love to hear from you.
Yes, and make sure you like and share this video to any coach that you think will benefit from this, a colleague that somebody that you've come across who's struggling with these things. And if we know coaches who are starting out, they will be struggling with this area. So definitely like and share this message and reach out to us and let us know your thoughts and under this video or messages. Let us know what your thoughts are, what are areas you're struggling with, and did you have anything you wanted to share from your journey? And also, we'd love to have you on our podcast. So you will also see the link for thecoachesjourney.com. You can actually submit an application to be a podcast guest with us. Please do that as well if you're interested to join us here.
All right, guys, have a fantastic week. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
You're listening to the Coach's Journey podcast.